Go ahead for example 1, set up A prime, as we start getting into honors reflections today. No. Nope, you guys, everyone's taking the Regents. There is no separate final. Everyone takes the Regents. Which don't underestimate it. All right, let's do this. We are looking for what line did I reflect over to go from A to A prime. Now you'll see this is a little bit more tricky than yesterday, because yesterday, they were just right across from each other and I could just do a nice vertical line down the middle. It was easy. Am I going to get a vertical line out of, or horizontal line out of this one today? No, absolutely not. We know it's going to look something like that, right? Okay, and this is where it's going to get a little tougher because it's not vertical or horizontal. But going back to a concept we talked about yesterday, if I connect a pre-image and image point, what's the line of reflection acting as? Perpendicular bisector, correct? So, going back to our problem for today, number 1, the line of reflection here is going to act as the what again? For segment AA prime. Okay? So the line of reflection is going to equal the perpendicular bisector of AA prime. You guys don't think you have enough knowledge, but you have enough knowledge to find that perpendicular bisector. All right? Go ahead and connect AA prime for me so you can see that segment. And I'm only going to say so much here. So you need to find, again, the perpendicular bisector that goes through AA prime. Now, all equations come in slope-intercept form for us, which is what? Y equals mx plus b. And what are the two values you need to know to finish this off? All right, you need to know m. Let's start there. How are you going to find the slope of your line of reflection? What's the relationship between AA prime slope and your line of reflection slope? Negative reciprocals, yeah. So you can find m, I think, pretty easily. And then you're going to have to discuss in your groups, how am I going to get b? Okay, how am I going to find the y-intercept? All right, I'm going to give you guys 5-6 minutes just to talk it up. Please don't do what period 1 did, which is just leave a blank sheet of paper and wait for me to do the work. All right, talk it up, write stuff down. Again, you got to find the slope, and then you guys got to discuss how am I going to find the y-intercept for this line of reflection. Go ahead, 5-6 minutes. This is why you're working with the people you're working with. All right, first thing I want to tackle here is the slope of your line of reflection. Slope. Did you find the slope of AA prime? What was the slope of AA prime? Let's go to you guys here. Here we go. 21. What was the slope of AA prime? 2/5. Yep. So that must have meant my slope, I'm just going to abbreviate it LOR for line of reflection, had to be what else, Dylan? Line of reflection? Or who just answered that one? Yeah. -5/2. So there you go. There's your slope. Next thing we talked about, got to find the y-intercept. And I've been watching you guys all year long, and pretty much everyone uses y equals mx plus b to find the y-intercept. You leave b, b. Slope we already found out was what? -5/2. Now, here's my question. How did you find an x and a y to plug in? Because the x and the y you plug in also has to be on your line of reflection. So how do I find a point that is also on my line of reflection? Well, again, Not only is this perpendicular to AA prime, it also does what to it? Bisects, which means it's got to have what point on there? The midpoint of AA prime has to be on your line of reflection. So that's what you needed to do off to the side. Everyone good? Why we need to find the midpoint? Because the midpoint is the only point I definitely know is on the line of reflection. All right, midpoint formula. Add up your x's for AA prime. It would be, let's see, 1 divided by 2, 1/2. And for the y, add your y's. 3 plus 5 divided by 2 gives you 4. There's the only point that I know is on the line of reflection. So I go back, and now I'm going to plug in 4 for y and 1/2 for x. We okay where that's coming from? That's the only point I know is on on the line of reflection. All right, now I solve for b. Good thing we got calculators that can do fractions. I get b all by itself. Okay, there's different versions here. You could have had a decimal version of 5.25. You could have had, I left it as an improper fraction, 21/4. I don't know if some of you may have put 5 1/4. That's fine. Whatever, some version of that. All right, now let's finish it. Line of reflection, y equals, what was its slope? -5/2x. And what was its y-intercept? Whatever version of 21/4 you had. There it is. That's the line I reflected a over to get a prime. Are we okay here? Let me know now, because the next one's no joke. Like this one was tough. Oh yeah, right. You haven't seen the next one. Anything here? Finding the slope or the y-intercept of your line of reflection. All right, it's time to get after this one now. Just graph A. I'm not going to let you go on your own as much as I did the last problem. Please just graph A. And together now, let's graph the line of reflection. 1/2 x plus 2. Anybody know y-intercept of 1/2 x plus 2? 2. Go ahead, graph 2 on the y-axis. I just want to get a look at what this graph looks like, or what this line looks like. So 2. What's the slope of this line? 1/2. So how could I find at least one more point? From 2, I go up 1, right 2. Yep. You could also go backwards and go down 1, left 2. All right, so just getting a quick sketch. I need to take A and reflect it over that line. Whew, all right. Just can't count anymore like yesterday. Remember yesterday? Oh, it's 2 units away. I'll go 2 units on the other side. That's not happening here. Here's what I'd like you to do first. Very lightly, put a point where you think A prime is going to be. Very lightly. I don't care if you're exact in the ballpark. Just give me somewhere very lightly where you think A prime could be. I'm hoping you're not putting it anywhere. Here. All right, you guys know the properties. So hopefully you're putting it kind of in the ballpark here. I'm just going to guess myself. All right, how are we going to find this point now? Whew. Anything you want to tell me right now, what's going on here? Anything, any true fact right now about our diagram? Any true fact about our diagram? We've talked reflections now a day and a half now. What is going on up there? Talk to me here. What is going on? What is going on so I could start this process? All right, never mind. Connect AA prime for me. Go ahead, make that segment AA prime. Because I want to make a plan before I just let people go on their own here. Because I think you guys are underestimating this problem a little bit. So there's AA prime. What's the line of reflection doing to it? It's bisecting, right? So that you don't need to do this, but that distance is the same as that distance, right? Somebody give me a nice geometrical term for the point where those two lines intersect. That is the what of AA prime. That point right there is the what? That's the midpoint, isn't it? That is the midpoint, correct? All right. Have we done this before this year? Where you know an endpoint, everyone knows point A, and you know the midpoint. Can you find the other endpoint? Have we done that this year? Given an endpoint, the midpoint, find the other endpoint. Have we done that? Yes, we have. So what I need your help with is, what the heck is that point right there? The midpoint, where those two intersect each other. Okay, that's our first job right now, is find the midpoint of AA prime. All right, how are we going to do it? Your first step in your group right now, come up with the equation of AA prime. Well, I don't even know A prime. You don't need it. Don't need it. Find the equation of AA prime. So again, you're going to need which two values you're going to need? You're going to need slope, which you can find. You got enough knowledge to find the slope of that segment because you know the line of reflection. And you're going to have to find the Y-intercept. Okay? I'll give you another 2-3 minutes now. That's all I want you to do, is find the equation of AA prime for me. That is it. You have more than enough knowledge to find the equation of it. Let's roll. How do you go about finding the slope of AA prime? Well, you need to know the slope of your line of reflection. What's the slope of your line of reflection? Line of reflection. Okay, all right. All I want to know, I know what the equation is. Now, what's the slope from it? 1/2. What is the slope then? Because you know the relationship between the two. What's the slope of AA prime? Negative reciprocal, -2. Done. Now you got to go find the Y-intercept. So to find the Y-intercept, we bust out y equals mx plus b again. Do you know a point on AA prime? I hope so. What is it? Point A. You don't need the midpoint. You know point A is on there. Plug it in. What's the Y coordinate? Y coordinate? 4 equals, what's the slope of this line? -2. X coordinate? 1. Let's solve for B. What's the Y-intercept? -2, move it over. 6. So the equation of AA prime, Y equals -2x plus 6, okay? Remember, our first job was to find the midpoint, the point of intersection. Time to dust off some algebra skills. Last year in algebra, if you knew the equation or two equations of two lines, do you remember how to find where they intersected? Because that's what I need to do right now. I got two lines, got to figure out where they intersect. Remember what you did last year in a little Algebra 1? Do you remember? Going. All right, what do I do with both equations? Okay, all right, yes. I could set them equal, or what I'm going to show you right now, which is the shortcut, use your graphing calculator to find out. All right? Because I'm assuming algebraically you would just waste time when you can just use your calculator. All right, so how do I figure out where these two lines intersect? Go to your calc. You got a Y1 screen, a Y2. Please type in both equations, the line of reflection and AA prime. 1/2 x plus 2, negative 2x plus 6. Make sure they're typed in correctly. Make sure you use the negative sign, not the subtraction symbol on the 2x. Everyone have it in? Graph it. Everyone, tell me now, because when you go to homework tonight, I want to make sure you can do this. What's up? Okay, that's go back to your y equals screen. Scroll down. Is there any? No, hold on. Okay, go. Never mind. Go. Keep scrolling down. You may have something deep down there. Yep, there it is. Something game in there. That's what usually happens. What do we have to? Okay, go to Zoom, and then there should be an option that says Standard, number 6. Hopefully that'll clear everything up. All right, hey, here we go. How do I find the point of intersection now? I got these beautiful lines graphed. How do I find the point of intersection? Everyone see your trace button. Second trace, where it says calculate, second trace. And now let's look at our options here. Probably which one am I going to choose? Intersect, number 5, yep. And then your blinking spider comes up, and you move it to the right or to the left, so it's pretty much right on the point of intersection. Everyone good there? Okay, it'll say at the bottom, first curve. You hit enter, yes, my spider's on the first curve. It'll say second curve. I don't have to move it because it's already on the second one as well. And then the third choice is guess. I just click enter for the third time, and there's the point of intersection. 1.6, 2.8. Which was 1.6 and 2.8. That's where they intersect. That's also the what of AA prime. That's not only the point of intersection, that's the what of AA prime. Midpoint, let's finish this thing now. Let's find A prime. You guys told me at the beginning of this you had enough geometry to know to do this. So point A was what? 1.4. The midpoint was 1.6, 2.8. Time to find A prime. All right, here we go. X coordinate first. You're going from 1 to 1.6. Talk to me. Plus 0.6. And I do it again because we're right in the middle right now. So I add 0.6 again. And where am I going from here? 2.2. And one more time. Now on the Y's, I'm going from 4 to 2.8. I'm going down 1.2 units, so I better go down another 1.2. And where do I end up on the Y coordinate? 1.6. There it is. Okay, warning, because you're about to start the homework. The first problem on the homework is not a single point. It is a triangle to reflect over one of these lines. So, okay, you can whine all you want. There's 2 problems tonight. So all this we did, you got to do it for 3 points now. Okay? You better get started now. You got 10 minutes. Call me over if you need some help.